your various questions. It may be related to your health, your relationship issue, business, all these questions and doubts or blessings. You can put it in the comment section for Devi Parashakti.
Yes, and if you're not a frequent user of any social media platform, but you'd still like to ask your questions to Devi Parashakti, you really want this beautiful cosmic intervention in your life, then you can go to kailasa.org, use your WhatsApp to send a message. In the browser on kailasa.org front page, you will be able to go and ask your questions on WhatsApp chat. And you'll see a green widget in the left-hand corner, and you can use that to interact with Devi Parashakti. Now, this brings us to a conclusion for how you can ask these questions on different social media platforms and how you can literally make this breakthrough happen in your life. We'll now be moving on to the further segments of today's program. Welcome all of you and thank all of you for being here today. And we'll now be understanding the offerings that you can make towards Devi Parashakti. Let's first understand the significance of these offerings, how these offerings can deepen our relationship, deepen our sacred sentiments with Paramashiva and Parashakti. Offering is a giving of a divine gift of pure love, devotion, and oneness, and it consists of two parts essentially. One is giving, and the other is accepting. It's important to recognize here that only when the divine accepts what one offers, the offering becomes complete. An offering is not made out of fear nor out of greed. When an avatar lands, offerings are purely a part of the grand Leela played out for the purpose of enlightenment. And out of his sheer grace, he is allowing these opportunities for us to establish beautiful connections with the divine.
Yes. So with that, we will be invoking Devi Parashakti by chanting the verse from the Moola Agama of Manonmani Dhyanam. Induni bhaveda karavahni nayanam syat pankaja varabhaya japaksha sarayuktam angahima bhushana vichitra vasanam syat Tungama Kutojvala Manonmani Swarupam.
Yes, and now the English translation. Moonlight face holding the Vedas on hand, fire in eyes, with a lotus flower gracing and blessing hands, one hand with the Japamala, beautifully decorated with jeweled ornaments in wonderful cloths and shining bright crown. Her name is Manonmani. Once again, this is the Moolagama Manonmani Dhyana Shlokam.
Yes. Dhyayed Devim Trinetram Sashini Bhavadanam Vedahastam Dadanam Savye Padmam Varadama Pare Chabhayam Chakshamalam Divyaira Bharanair Vibhushita Tanum Brahmadi Vippujitam Devi Meva Manonmanim Pratidinam Kamarta Datrim Shubha.
And the English translation. I meditate on Devi with 3 eyes glowing like a moon and holding the Vedas, lotus and gracing, blessing, gracing hands. She is wearing beautiful ornaments. She is worshipped by Brahma and other many gods and showers auspicious boons for all actions every day.
So we'll now understand the significance of the divine element, gold. So Atharva Veda, it states, Tredajutam janmanedam hiranyam agnerakam priyatamam babhuva somasya kam yensitasya parapatata appamekam veda sambreta ahustatte hiramyam trividasvatvise.
And the English translation of this verse, triply born by the birth is this gold from the atoms of Agni is one. It becomes dearest to Agni and one fell away from the Soma when it was hurt. One they called the seed of virtuous and power Apaha, and let that triple gold be for your long life. Now each and every one of us should understand that gold is a divine element. It purifies anything that it touches, and it is an element of spiritual significance and great spiritual power of healing and enlightening energy. The vibration of gold has the power to infuse sattva energy and positive thought currents in anyone who wears and anyone who sees or operates in its vicinity.
Yes. So gold is present in all the scriptures, Agamas, the Vedas, the Shrutis, Itihasas and Puranas. In all the Hindu scriptures, it is abundantly displayed that gold is the most auspicious and purest metal which purifies our being. In the Hindu civilization, everything was built in gold, exchanged in gold, and even the ritual feasts were offered in golden bricks. When one was to be saved from life-threatening illnesses, gold was offered as a ritual fee. Gold was in abundance and was used for weighing equivalent amount of commodities, including cows. Kingdoms were built with huge doors of gold. Streets would have huge columns and huge archways made of gold. Horses and cows were dressed in gold.
The Hindu civilization had thrived on the banks of the rivers of gold. The Indus River, called the Hiranmaya, the river of gold, in the Rig Veda, and the river Saraswati was called the Hiranyavardhani in the Atharva Veda. Gold is known as a supreme element for offering gifts to ones that you love and revere. And temples in the Vedic tradition, in the Hindu civilization, were constructed and paved in gold. Deities are made in gold and decked and adorned in gold because it preserved the enlightenment energy for thousands of years. It literally lasts forever.
So with that, we'll be moving on to the first offering to Devi Parashakti, the offering of E-Hundi. So the Shastric verse, it says, Bhakti Priya Bhakti Gamya Bhakti Vashya Vayapaha Shambhavi Sharada Radhya Sharvani Sharmadayini.
And in this translation, Devi is fond of true devotion and is realized through true devotion. She can be won over through true devotion and she removes all fear.
So if there is any fear in the minds of the devotee, Devi is sure to remove all that fear. And it is stated that Devi likes to be worshipped in autumn. So here it is meant that autumn of our lives, when thoughts turn more and more inwards, the role of the divine is known and understood very clearly. So the need for Devi worship, it literally becomes stronger. So you can offer the Hundi offering through the super chat and super sticker option in the YouTube live chat. And your names will be chanted when the puja is offered to Devi Parashakti. And you can offer any amount as an Hundi offering to Parashakti at your own capacity and express your devotion and deep gratitude to Devi. So the next offering is the Sankalpa chanting. Tayaitan mohyate vishvam saiva vishvam prashuyate saya chitta cha vijanam tushta rudim prayaschati.
And the English translation goes, the goddess enchants this universe and she herself gives birth to this universe. That goddess, being prayed without interest in anything, gives the knowledge that leads to salvation, and she gives wealth in the materialistic sense. Now this verse is from the Devi Mahatmyam, chapter 12, verse 34. And it's the offering of the Sankalpa, which you can offer for as low as one USD, $1. And this offering is the conscious resolution, which blesses the person with the offering of all of the auspiciousness and blessings of Devi Parashakti. Yes, you can go on.
So we can move to the next offering, the Sahasranama Swarna Kasu, the golden coin, so which is inscribed with all the names of Parashakti. So the Lalita Sahasranama, it says Nama Parayana Prita, she who likes the repetition of her various names. So this offering is a very special, unique archana which is offered to the Mahameru of Parashakti. So you can offer a gold coin inscribed with each of the 1008 names of Parashakti and receive the blessings. So when you offer this, all the Ananta Kalyana Gunas, all the divine qualities of Parashakti start awakening in you. And it is available in 3 sizes at $75, $151, and $251. Next offering is the Mukta Anguti, finger ring with a pearl. मुक्ताहारलसत्किरीटरुचिरां पूर्णेन्दुवक्त्रप्रभां शिञ्जन्नूपुरकिङ्किणीमणिधरां पद्मप्रभाभासुरां सर्वाभीष्टफलप्रदां गिरिसुतां वाणीरमासेवितां मीनाक्षीं प्रणतोऽस्मि सन्ततमहं कारुण्यवारां निधिम्.
The English translation: I bow down to the goddess Meenakshi, whose crown has garlands of pearls, and the face shining like a full moon, who wears anklets that are studded with gemstones and has small bells, who is shining like the splendor of a lotus, who grants all the wishes, the daughter of the mountain, who is worshipped by goddess Vani and Rama. I remain ever bowing to the goddess Meenakshi, the ocean of compassion.
So you can offer the Mukta Anguti, the finger ring with the pearl, and receive Devi's blessings to be showered by her compassion and pure love in all your business endeavors. The finger ring with the pearl is available at $251, $501, and $750. Next offering is the Swarna Padma Pushpam. Ashtavidheshwaropeta Kumbhavarana Samyutam Sarve Sasutra Hema Pankaja Pushitaha Sapidana Sakruchascha Pakva Bhilva Phala Prabha Snapannadhyaya Samsiddha Pramanena Smahanvita.
The English translation: all the kalashas should be wound around with suitable thread and covered with new cloth. They should be adorned with the lotus flower made of gold. Now, the lotus also has extremely profound spiritual significance in the scriptural references in the Vedic scriptures. Almost everything in the worship of the ultimate involves a consecration of deities or meditating on the mudras and asanas used during the worship, which involves a lotus flower. The lotus leaf, lotus pericarp, lotus petals, everything is used during the worship. And that's why the lotus is considered a divine flower. Shakti of Paramashiva is also called the lotus. The base of the Paramashiva linga is a lotus, and the disciple of Paramashiva is also considered a lotus who is about to bloom. You can offer this gold lotus in any size you wish and be blessed to have the state space and powers and being of Devi in your inner space amidst any adversity in your life. This offering is $600 and you can make it at the link provided below.
So the next offering is offering of Swarna Mitti, the golden touring. Nakadiditi samchanna namajjana tamo guna padadvaya prabhajala parakrita saroruha.
You whose brightness from toenails destroys the darkness of ignorance from the minds of your devotees who prostrate at your feet. You whose brightness from your 2 feet overpowers that of the lotus flower.
So you can offer the toe ring to Parashakti, adorning her sacred feet, to be in constant gratitude for receiving her blessings in even the most difficult aspects of your life. So the Swarna Mitti is available at $750.
Now, the next offering is the Swarna Mantika, the golden hairline jewelry, which is a traditional jewelry that many women wear. When we offer this Mantika to Devi Parashakti, it has superior spiritual significance. For example, in one of the sacred scriptures, the Devi is described as Shuddha Sarabe Varshani, means she who makes the nectar flow in all of our nerves from the Sahasrara, she who gives the very pleasant experience of the ultimate. The Mantika represents the nectar flowing from the Sahasrara, which is fully opened. This offering you can make for $750 and make it at the link which is provided. And you can offer the Swarna Mantika in order to have the blessings of achieving the blissful state of overflowing gratitude and the space of complete completion with Devi Parashakti.
Yes, so the next offering is the offering of Pratyaksha Pada Puja, the beautiful offering. So we can actually the Sastra Pramana from Sloka 83 of Saundarya Lahari. It says, Nakadiditi samchanna namajjana tamo guna padattvaya prabhajala parakrita saroruha.
And the English translation, the illumining splendor of Devi's toenails dispel the darkness of ignorance in the devotees prostrating at her feet. Her feet defeat the lotus in beauty. This shloka is from Saundarya Lahari, which states that the nails that have been sharpened by constantly being touched by the crowns of the celestial beings who always prostrate before Devi. Now, tamoguna is darkness. And in this stotam, the tamas is indicative of ignorance in the minds of devotees. And by constantly prostrating before Devi, their ignorance is removed and they attain ultimate knowledge. Offering the Pratyakshapada Puja blesses the Yajaman with all the auspiciousness and blessings of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
Yes, the next offering is the Vastra Seva, the offering of the sacred cloths to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the Nija Avatara of Devi Parashakti. So you can offer the Vastra Seva and receive the blessings and all the auspiciousness of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism at $1,008, and it is also a part of the Pratyakshapada Puja. You can offer this seva by going and clicking onto the link tiny.cc/devi-offerings.
Yes. So now we have a summary of all of the offerings. This comes to a conclusion to the different offerings that we're just giving you a summary of every single thing that we had gone over. We have the e-hundi offering, which you can make for any amount of money that you'd like to do. You can make that in the super chat of YouTube live video also. And we also have the Sankalpa chanting offering, the offering of the conscious resolution for $1, the Sahasranama Kasu, the pure gold coin with one sacred name of Devi from the 1008 names. So this offering you can make for $75, $157, or $251. There's the Mukta Anguti, the pearl finger ring offering, which you can make for $251, $501, or $750 USD. You can also make the Swarna Padma Pushpa, the golden lotus flower offering, for $600, or $1,200, or $1,800. You can make the offering of the Swarna Metti, which is the gold toe ring for the lotus feet of Devi, which is $750. And then you can make the offering of the Swarna Mantika, the golden hairline jewelry, for $750. Now, also the most coveted offering is the Pratyakshapada Puja, the offering of the ritualistic gratitude to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, which you can make for $1,008, and the Vastra Seva, which you can also make for $1,008. Now, if you're ready to make a payment today, you have two options. Now, if you're ready to offer today, or if you have the intention to offer specific sevas, then you can go further with the next steps. If you are interested in making this offering, and I encourage each and every one of you that even if you may not be ready at the moment with the money that you have, money that you want to offer, make an offering to Devi Parashakti today, you can still ensure that you start the process for the offering today. Don't deny this beautiful offering to Devi Parashakti. These traditional offerings have so much of sacred significance for how much they can manifest in your life and how they can deepen your relationship with the divine cosmic beings. So in the registration form below, tiny.cc/BHAVASAMADHI, if you're interested in offering, or if you need help in manifesting the offering, or if you want more details about what is this offering, how it goes, and so forth, you can go to the registration form, tiny.cc/BHAVASAMADHI, and fill it out, and you can proceed with the next steps of making your offering in due course. And if you are ready to make your payment today, ready to sign up for the offering, then you can go to tiny.cc/Devi offerings, make an online payment ready to offer, if you're ready to offer the seva by online payments, then make sure that after you make your payment, that you're submitting the details needed for the puja. You have to submit various details that will be chanted during the auspicious ritual. And you can go to tiny.cc/sankalpa2021 in order to fill out that form and ensure that your offering has all of the blessings bestowed upon you. So now, Ma Atmapriya Swami will be running through how you can make your payments today and how you can fill out the registration form.
So when you click onto the link tiny.cc/devi-offerings, you'll be taken to this page and you can go and choose which seva you want to offer to Parashakti. For example, you want to offer the Mukta Anguti and it is $251. So go ahead and add it to your cart. So once you add it to your cart, you will be guided to the next page of how to proceed to the checkout. So go ahead and click on the proceed to checkout button here. And after that, you can fill out all the billing details that is required. And once you fill out, you can place an order, you can make the payment and click on the place an order button here and submit it and offer the seva to Parashakti. So as you have done an online payment and offered the seva to Parashakti, now you have the opportunity to submit all your names of your family members, your friends, your colleagues, whoever you want to be blessed by the Parashakti when the puja is happening. Go to this Sankalpa link, click on to the next and fill out all the details which are required and don't forget to click on to the Devi BHAVASAMADHI Darshan and click on next and submit this page so that all your names will be chanted while the puja is offered to Parashakti. And we also have one more option, the super chat and the super sticker option in the YouTube when the live darshan is happening. When Parashakti is revealing the Akashic reading darshan, and not only that, even before the live. So if you want to offer your deep gratitude and devotion to Parashakti, you can go ahead under the comment section and you can click on to the super chat and super sticker option, and we'll be now showing you in the screen. So here you can go ahead and click on to the super chat and super sticker option here and offer the e-hundi offering to Devi Parashakti. Yes. So with that, we come to the conclusion of this part of the segment of this program, and we'll be right back after a short break into the next segment of the program. Thank you, everyone. Nithyananda.
Nithyanandam. Welcome back, dear viewers. Now we will be entering into a segment where we will learn about some of the revelations given by Devi Parashakti.
Yes. So we will now understand the revelations about the black fungus by Devi Parashakti.
ஸ்ரீ நித்ய கிரிஜானந்தா. கரும்பூஞ்சை வியாதிக்கு வைத்தியம் கேட்கின்றாய், நன்றாய் தெரிந்து கொள். கரும்பூஞ்சை வியாதி நுரையீரல் மட்டுமல்லாது மூளையையும் நசுக்கி மனிதனை ஜடமாக்கி மரணத்திற்குள் தள்ளும் உயிரியல் ஆயுதம். மனிதர்கள் மீது நடத்தப்படும் உயிரியல் போர் இது. நவபாஷாணத்தின் மீது பொழியப்பட்ட நீரும் மஞ்சளும் பாலும் வேம்பு ரசமுமே இதற்கு மருந்து. அதை அருந்தி உடலிலே அதை ஊற்றி நீராடி இருந்தவர்க்கு காவல் அம்பிகையின் சக்தி. ஓம் ஓம் ஓம். சிருஷ்டி நஷ்டமாகாதிருக்க தேவ ரகசியங்களை தெளிவாய் உலகத்திற்கு சொல்லிவிட்டேன். இந்த ரகசியங்கள் எல்லாம் உலகத்திற்கு நாம் நித்யானந்தன் வடிவு கொண்டு சொல்லும் பொழுது எதிரிகள் பெருங்கோபத்தொடு நித்யானந்தன் திருவுருவை அழித்திடாமல் இருந்திடவே அவன் திருவுருவை கைலாயத்திற்கு கொண்டு வந்து பாதுகாப்பாக்கிக் கொண்டு பிறகு இந்த உண்மையெல்லாம் உலகத்திற்கு சொல்லுகின்றேன். அன்னை பராசக்தியும் கூட உண்மைகளை உலகிற்கு சொல்லும் முன் தற்காப்பு செய்து கொள்ள வேண்டிய அளவிற்கு மனிதர்களின் அரக்கத்தனமும் அட்டூழியமும் உலகத்தில் அரண்டு ஆடுகின்றது. ஓம் 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 ஓம்.
Yes, so we'll now be reading out the translation of Devi's exact revelations. You are asking remedy for black fungal disease. So know properly. Black fungal disease is not only, it will affect the lungs, it will smash the brain also. It is a bioweapon that makes humans a lifeless matter and push them to death.
And the demonishness and atrocities of humans is dancing in the world, that even Mother Parashakti needs to do self-protection before telling the truths to the world.
Yes, so what is black fungus? So it was denied and dismissed as a rare fungal disease, declared as an epidemic by several states, declared as a pandemic within pandemic, which eats brain, mutilates bodies and face, eats bones, affects only the COVID patients and extremely fatal, with 50% of the people when infected with it definitely would die.
Black fungus has already been declared an epidemic by several states and is linked to COVID across India. As stated earlier, it has more than a 50% mortality rate and has affected more than 7,200 people in India, and 219 people have lost their lives.
So it increases COVID-19, increases the black fungal infection risk in India. So India has been facing the high rates of COVID-19 and more than 27 million confirmed cases since January 2020. So, and the World Health Organization recently announced that the B1617 variant of this COVID-2 virus in India is a variant of the global concern. So not only that, this black fungus, which is referred to as mucormycosis, so 90 people who recovered from COVID-19 died from mucormycosis, black fungus, and there are calls by the Indian health authorities to declare a mucormycosis epidemic across the India.
The deadly black fungus outbreak has been declared an epidemic while cases rise to over 12,000 and COVID hit India. And there have been a range of states across India who have declared this as an outbreak. And over 300 people have died as a result of this extremely rare condition. And the incidence of death toll from the black fungus is steadily on the rise in India. And it's considered a pandemic within a pandemic. So after COVID-19, the soaring number of fungal infections among the recovered patients have emerged as a new medical concern. More than 12,000 cases of fungal infection have been reported from different parts of the country. That has created a sense of panic among the people.
So you can see the flesh-eating black fungus, one of the news articles, that how Parashakti had revealed already, it will smash the brain and people will die of it. So one of the news articles, it says, the flesh-eating black fungus killing patients who survived COVID-19. So black fungus, it has a near 50% mortality rate, and it is tragically killing many who were relieved to have beaten COVID-19. So the infection can eat through the skin, soft tissue, or even bone as it attacks the brain or other critical organs. So once it starts growing that way, it's very difficult to control. And doctors studying the outbreak in India, they say steroids used to treat the COVID also weakens the immune system, leaving the patients more and more susceptible to the black fungus.
So as Devi revealed, human beings will die like rats and cats on the street. There will be dead bodies floating in large quantities in Ganga, and authorities will fudge numbers and underreport. The dogs eating those dead bodies will also get COVID, and as they are dying and poor human beings eat those dogs' dead bodies, they also get COVID and die.
Yes, so you can see dead bodies. So Bhavan Parashakti, she revealed that I saw very clearly dead bodies floating in the large Ganges. So you can see corpses in Ganga. Buxar locals more worried about water contamination than where the bodies came from. So residents of the Bihar in India, they say bodies are often found in Ganga but never in such numbers. While the spectacle has jolted some locals into taking COVID more seriously. So you can see how Parashakti revealed that dead bodies will be floating in large amounts in the Ganges, and literally that is right now being proven when we see all these news articles.
And as Devi revealed, dogs will be eating those dead bodies. And in this article in India News, they reveal how the scores of decomposing bodies have laid uncovered in the Sangam area. And for the last 2 to 3 months, people have been burying their dead here. Sand covering the bodies is blown away by the strong winds, exposing the decomposing bodies. predatory birds and dogs gather and feast on these bodies. And the government should make arrangements for proper burials, but unfortunately, because of the dire situation that the country is in, this is what we have to resort to.
Yes, so there's one other proof which says for the last 2 to 3 months, people have been burying their dead and sand covering the bodies is blown away by the strong winds. So how exactly what Parashakti said, dogs would eat these bodies and would die because of eating the COVID-19 infected bodies. So human beings will die like cats and rats. So this is very shocking news, which now the news several dead bodies found floating in Ganga. And as India is reeling under a massive second wave of COVID-19 pandemic, the number of deaths has also increased. And such a situation, the crematoriums and the burial grounds are packed to the capacity. So this is what Parashakti revealed, and exactly we are seeing the proof of it, where when she revealed that human beings would be dying like cats, rats, and dogs. Here it is literally proven, like how these bodies, they don't have places to cremate them and bury them.
And over 150 bodies, which have been reported as COVID fatalities, were dumped on the banks of the Ganga. And these COVID bodies will be washed down further and can be eaten by stray dogs, which will further spread the coronavirus. This has been revealed by Devi Parashakti, and this news article has confirmed this after the revelation by Devi Parashakti.
Yes. So human beings would die like cats, dogs. So bodies found floating in Ganga and Uttar Pradesh. So you can see dead bodies washed up on the banks of the Ganga were sighted for a second straight day and in Ghazipur in Uttar Pradesh, and it was around 55 kilometers upriver from Bihar's Buxo, where more than 100 bodies were found. So the Bihar authorities had argued that the corpses had floated down from the Uttar Pradesh, and the state had no tradition of consigning bodies to the water. So how literally the human bodies they don't have a place to bury them or cremate them, and literally being floating in the Ganga river.
And dozens more bodies have been washed up on the banks of the Ganga in the northern Indian states. And while the country is struggling with the second wave of the COVID pandemic, and in Uttar Pradesh, more than 50 bodies have been found in the last few days, while at least 40 bodies were pulled from the river 55 kilometers downstream. And the reports are severely downplayed. While they're suggesting that only 40 bodies have been found, the numbers are actually much higher.
Yes, so India is dying while the media is lying. So you can see the earlier reports where the media were downplaying number is reporting 40, and this article itself is reporting 40. So exactly what Devi Parashakti said, that the amount of bodies, the amount of people who are dying, and the number of bodies that are buried and what the media is reporting is completely not matching, and completely an undercounted number which is being given by the media.
India is in denial of the world's most deadliest disease. Just how big could India's true COVID toll be? The reports are suggesting only 27 million cases and a little over 300,000 deaths. However, this is severely underestimated. If it's actually calculated, a conservative estimate shows that more than 400 million people have been estimated to be infected, while there have been at least double the number of deaths that have been reported. And this is a very conservative estimate. If we are looking at a more likely scenario, over 500 million people have been infected with COVID, with 1.6 million deaths. This is in India alone. So you can only imagine how bad it is when they're reporting such low numbers. If Swamiji and Devi Parashakti revealed that if you personally take your own toll, if you just speak to your family members and ask them in India how many people they know who have died, every single person will have at least one family member, a neighbor, or somebody who is infected and has passed away from COVID. These numbers are severely underreported if you yourself consider all the people you know who have passed from COVID-19.
Yes, so the horrifying news, over 2,000 bodies found within 1,140 kilometers from the banks of the river Ganga. So this is what is a very shocking news. Like over 2,000 bodies were found in 1,140 kilometers on the bank of the river Ganga. So as per the report, 350 bodies were found and buried near Mahadevi Ganga Ghat. So this is what Devi Parashakti exactly revealed, how human beings will die like cats and rats, and there will be no place, and Ganga will be flooded with bodies, and literally dogs would eat those bodies. Everything is now just reported by the media.
And the New York Times says the actual figures are likely to be much higher, with more than half of the Indian population infected with COVID. So while the estimates in the news is saying that there's only about 27 million people, in the New York Times, when calculated, they have suggested that it can be up to 700 million people. Nearly half the population of India has been infected with COVID-19.
And the worst case, the India's COVID deaths are 14 times higher than the government count. So that is the news where New York Times says the actual figures are higher, with more than half of the Indian population which are affected by the COVID-19.
COVID is now airborne. So this has been denied and criticized, but accepted as a theory, a possibility recently. And it has now been accepted as a fact. And however, the warnings have been delayed, and there's been a serious criticism of this delayed acceptance because it has affected so many millions of people, because they were not prepared or understanding that COVID can spread much easier than what was suggested. However, nobody has been held accountable for the death of millions of people.
This is where is one of the research by the scientist Luc Montagnier. He says he's promoted several controversial and unverified claims surrounding vaccination COVID-19 pandemic. So his criticism of the vaccines for this COVID is also one of the
So this Nobel Prize winner reveals that the vaccine is creating variants, and while it is understood that the viruses mutate, causing variants, the French virologist and Nobel Prize winner has contended that it is a vaccination that is actually probably creating the variants. And this has been a huge struggle with so many different variants, people struggling to survive with so many different variants, and how to prevent so many things, even after one wave of COVID hits, when so many other variants are coming up, people are not protected. People are still suffering from these different variants.
Yes, so the world's most infectious disease is now airborne. So this is also exactly what the Supreme Pontiff had revealed. COVID is airborne, scientists say. So now also authorities are thinking about it. And the WHO and the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also, they're coming up with researchers saying that COVID is now becoming airborne.
And though it has been denied for the most part up until recently, it has now been accepted across the WHO and the CDC. And this discussing airborne, scientists have been discussing airborne transmission for months, but only last week the WHO and the CDC have made this as an official report. And this has severely affected how people understand the disease and how it spreads, and how many people have been infected because of the lack of awareness.
And we can see this one more research article where it says, what is the key difference in transmission? So when you have a droplet transmission, when you cough and sneeze, it can spread through the droplets of saliva and mucus. So that is more than 5 micron in size, whereas when it is airborne, these tiny particles, which are probably possibly produced by talking, They are suspended in the air for longer and they travel even when you move out of the place, and which is lesser than 5 microns, which is more dangerous. And now the media is reporting that the airborne transmission of COVID-19, which is huge risk for the human beings.
And as revealed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, home quarantine is not possible in India. And the Prime Minister has, the Chief Minister of Assam has revealed this as one of the prime reasons for the large number of deaths during the second wave of COVID in Assam. And there have been an estimated of 92 deaths on a single day, which is the highest that they've seen. And they are saying that we have seen more death cases are happening from home isolation, as several people do not keep oximeters and some do not read the counts in the meter properly.
Yes, so this is what exactly Parashakti revealed, and Supreme Pontiff also told in the satsang that home quarantine is literally impossible. So now the Maharashtra government of India has announced a decision to stop home quarantine in 18 districts, which show higher COVID positivity rate than state's average. So the state public health minister, he also had decided to ensure better healthcare facilities to patients in districts which are showing higher positivity rates. So this also says how whatever Supreme Pontiff had revealed is again and again coming true, and now only the media is reporting that.
Yes. And about 41% of houses have just a single room, which is shared by about 5 people. So this makes it extremely difficult to home quarantine when people are packed in such tight spaces with very little ventilation. And about 32% of households have 2 rooms, and adding to the woes is the fact that only 47% of households have access to water within the premises, while 42% don't have a bathing facility within the premises. So the hygiene is extremely poor in many of these crowded cities where very little space is there and very little access to the resources like water is there. This has caused a serious increase in COVID-19 spreading.
So this is one more news article which says self-isolation, which is the COVID home quarantine, is impossible for 40% of the Hindu families where, because 3 or more people are actually sharing a room. And this is a challenge of physical distancing, and it is greater in rural areas than in the urban areas. So this is where home quarantine for those with the self-quarantine measures is literally impossible in India.
So where is the space for home quarantine in cities? As stated earlier, these cities are very crowded. People are living in extremely close quarters, and it is very difficult to maintain any social distancing, especially if you have a family member who's been affected or a neighbor who's been affected, because there's such poor ventilation on top of the extremely crowded homes. And the census data suggests, and experts also agree, that the ministry's guidelines on home quarantine is nearly impossible, especially in urban households. And these guidelines on home quarantine say that the person showing COVID-19 symptoms has to remain isolated in a well-ventilated room, preferably with an attached toilet. If another family member needs to stay in that same room, it's advisable to maintain a distance of at least 1 meter between the two. But this is nearly impossible when you are living in a home with 5 people with maybe 1 room, maybe 2 rooms. This becomes nearly impossible for any kind of isolation or social distancing because everyone is within each other's breathing space.
Yes. So with that, we come to the conclusion of this segment where we could see literally every revelation of Devi Parashakti is coming true. And that is being reported when we saw how each news article is capturing what Parashakti had revealed exactly, and the various revelations are now proven true. So with that, we will be moving on to the next part of this program after a short break.
நன்றாய் கேட்டுக்கொள். உன் கேள்விக்கு உன்மூலமாய் உலகெங்கும் இருக்கும் இந்துக்கள் எல்லோர்க்கும் அளிக்கின்றேன் உத்திரம். கேட்டு வாழ்ந்தால் உங்கள் வாழ்க்கை பத்திரம். நன்றாய் கேளுங்கள். பிறப்பின் ரகசியத்தை பிறப்பிலா பெருமை உடைய பரமேஸ்வரி சொல்லுகின்றேன் கேளுங்கள். அண்டஜம், யோனிஜம், ஜலஜம், பீஜம் எனும் 4 விதமான பிறவிகளில் 84,000 யோனில் பிறக்கும் பிறப்புகளிலேயே பெருமை வாய்ந்ததும் உத்தமமானதும் மனித பிறவி. அந்த மனித பிறவியிலும் பலமுறை பிறந்து உழன்று அரசியல், பொருளாதாரம், சுகபோகம், தர்மம், அர்த்தம், காமம் எனும் ஆசைகள், துக்கங்கள், அச்சங்கள் அனைத்திலும் அழன்று உழன்று இனி வேண்டாம் இப்பிறவி, வேண்டுவது மோட்சமே என்று முடிவெடுத்தோர்க்கு மட்டுமே ஹிந்து மத யோனிஜம், ஹிந்து பெற்றோர்க்கு பிறந்திடும் சனாதன ஹிந்து தர்ம யோனிஜம். மனித பிறவி உத்தமம், சனாதன ஹிந்து தர்ம மனித பிறவி உத்தமோத்தமம். இந்த உத்தமோத்தம பிறவி எடுத்த எல்லோருக்கும் ஜீவன் முக்த விஞ்ஞானத்தையும் சனாதன தர்மத்தையும் காக்கின்ற கடமையும் உண்டு. அதனால் வருகின்ற நன்மையெல்லாம் அனுபவிக்கும் உரிமையும் உண்டு. இந்த கடமையை செய்வோம் என்று சத்தியம் செய்ததனால்தான் அந்த உரிமை அளிக்கப்பட்டது. பூமிக்கு வந்தபின் மனம் மயங்கி மதிமயங்கி சனாதன தர்மம் காக்க மறந்ததனால் மாயை அவர்கள் உயிரை பறிக்கின்றாள். நன்றாய் புரிந்து கொள்ளுங்கள். உயிரை கொடுத்தாலும் தர்மத்தை காப்போம் என்று உறுதி எடுத்தவர்க்கே சனாதன ஹிந்து தர்ம யோனிஜம் அளிக்கின்றேன் யான். உடல் பெற்ற பிறகு ஊழிப் பெருவலியால் ஆசை அச்சங்களை உதறவிடாது, உதறியும் விடாது சனாதன ஹிந்து தர்மம் காக்க மறந்தோரை உயிர் வாழத் தகுதியில்லாதவர் பட்டியலில் உடனடியாய் மாயை சேர்க்கின்றாள். அதனால் ராட்சசர்களும் அசுரர்களும் தானாகவே இவர்கள் உயிரை எடுக்கின்றார். நன்றாய் புரிந்து கொள்ளுங்கள். உயிரை கொடுத்தாலும் தர்மம் காப்போம் என்று நிற்பவர்க்கு நிலைத்திடும் வீரஸ்வர்க்கமும் கைலாச பதவியும், எக்காரணம் கொண்டும் தர்மம் காக்க மறந்த உத்தமோத்தம ஜனனமான சனாதன ஹிந்து ஜனனம் பெற்ற மக்களுக்கு இல்லை வேறு கதி. சனாதன ஹிந்து தர்ம மனித ஜனனம் உத்தமோத்தம மனித ஜனனம். உங்கள் உரிமை உலகில் அதிகம், உங்களுக்கு கடமையும் உலகில் பெரிது. தர்மம் காத்தாலே கடமை, தர்மம் காக்காதார்க்கு உயிர் வாழும் உரிமை இல்லை. நன்றாய் புரிந்து கொள்ளுங்கள். உத்தமோத்தம பிறவியான சனாதன ஹிந்து தர்ம பிறவி எடுத்த எல்லோரும் புரிந்து கொள்ளுங்கள். உங்கள் வாழ்வின் முதற்கடமை தர்மம் காத்தல். தர்மம் காக்க தர்மம் உங்களை காக்கும். சனாதன ஹிந்து தர்மம் காக்க மறந்திட்டால் வாழும் உரிமையை நீங்கள் இழந்து விடுகின்றீர்கள். அதற்கு மேல் வாழ்ந்தென்ன அழிந்தென்ன? பூமிக்கு பாரம் குறையட்டும் என்று அசுரர்களும் ராட்சதர்களும் உங்களை உண்டு தீர்க்கின்றார்கள். அதையும் மாயை கண்டு சும்மாவிருப்பாள். பிரபஞ்ச ரகசியத்தை, பிறவியின் ரகசியத்தை உலகிற்கெல்லாம் உத்தரமாய்ச் சொல்லிவிட்டேன். புரிந்து வாழ்வில் நடந்து உயிரை பத்திரமாய் பார்த்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள். அன்னை சொல்லும் அருள் சத்தியம் இது. ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
Yes. So now let us understand the translation of what Devi Parashakti has revealed. So Parashakti has revealed that listen, Andajam, Yonijam, Jalajam, Bijam. Like this, in 4 types of birds, in 84,100,000 yonis, in all these birds, the most greatest birth of them all is the human birth. Even in that human birth, being born and toiled many times, after getting burnt and toiled in politics, in finance, in luxuries, in dharma, artha, kama, and those who decide of not wanting this birth, wanting only moksha, only those will have Hindu dharma yonijam, the Sanatana Hindu dharma, yonijam of being born to Hindu parents. The human birth is the uttamam, best. Sanatana Hindu dharma, human birth is uttamottamam, best of the best. Everyone who took this uttamottama birth has the responsibility of protecting the signs of living enlightenment and Sanatana dharma. And also, they have the right of experiencing its benefits. This right was given to them because of their commitment given by them to do this responsibility. After coming to Bhuloka, by getting mentally deluded and forgetting the dharma of protecting Sanatana dharma, Maya, she is taking away all their soul. Understand carefully. I am giving the Sanatana Hindu dharma, Yonijam, only for those who gave the commitment of protecting the Sanatana dharma, even by giving their life. So understand carefully, I am giving the Sanatana Hindu dharma, Yonijam, only for those who gave the commitment of protecting the Sanatana dharma, even by giving their life. After getting the body because of painful deluge, not dropping fear, greed, and for those who forgot to protect Sanatana Hindu dharma, Maya, she will immediately add them all to the list of those who are not worthy of living. Therefore, Rakshasas and Asuras are automatically taking away their life. And understand properly, for those who stand that even by giving their life, they will protect Dharma, will permanently have Veera Swarga and Kailasa Padati. For any reason, people who forget to protect Dharma, having the Uttamottama birth of Sanatana Hindu birth, there is no other way for them. So Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the human birth, is the Uttamotama human birth, and your right in this world are immense. Also, your responsibility in the world is large. Protecting Dharma is responsibility. So with that, we will be now moving on to the next segment of this program. Thank you.
Nithyananda, the next segment is about Kailasa's de facto spiritual embassies as COVID care protection centers. Now let's look at some of the stats today. The Human Rights Watch has reported that 1.5 billion students are out of school already. More than 91% of world's students are out of school due to school closures in at least 188 countries. 36.5% of US college students pointed to stress as the biggest reason why their academic performance suffered negatively for the past 12 months. In addition, 29.5% listed anxiety as a factor. For American middle schoolers, 61% of the teens admitted feeling a lot of pressure to get good grades. Approximately 1.27 billion learners are currently affected due to closures in response to pandemic. According to UNICEF monitoring, 46 countries are currently implementing nationwide closures and 27 are implementing local closures, impacting about 72.9% of the world's student population. In a survey by the mental health charity Young Minds, which includes 2,111 participants up to an age of 25 years with a mental illness history in the UK, 83% said that the pandemic had made their conditions worse. 26% said that they were unable to access the mental health support. Peer support groups and face-to-face services have been cancelled, and support by phone or online can be challenging for some young people. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted or halted the critical mental health services in 93% of countries worldwide, while the demand for mental health is increasing, according to a new World Health Organization survey. Recently, a study also found that 18% of individuals who received COVID-19 diagnosis were later diagnosed with a mental health disorder, such as anxiety or mood disorders. Surveys also found that substance use and suicidal ideation are particularly pronounced for young adults, with 25% reporting that they started or increased substance use during pandemic, and 26% of reporting serious thoughts of suicide. Every year, over 1.2 million students drop out of high school in the United States alone. That's a student every 26 seconds or 7,000 a day. About 25% of high school freshmen fail to graduate from high school on time. So what we are seeing today is how the Department of Education, especially worldwide, the number of students who have dropped out of education, a number of people who are affected, number of students who are affected because of pandemic. Now, in the next segment, we are going to see the contributions from Kailasa's Department of Education. Before we go to the next segment, So you have this opportunity of joining the COVID care protection centers. You can register through the link below, kailasa.org/Kailasa care, KAILASA.org/KAILASACARE. So especially if you are a parent of kids whose education is something that you're worried, then you have these Kailasa COVID care centers where you can provide the best spiritual education to your kids and evolve them spiritually. So now let's also look at the Kailasa's Department of Education's contributions to the world. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Swamiji has revealed on 17th of November 2019 that the whole Gurukul, the real Hindu university, the Hindu university atmosphere that he had in Tiruvannamalai in 1970s is what he's trying to reproduce all over the world through Nithyananda Gurukul and also E-Gurukul. Gurukul is a place where celebration begins with the right words in blossoming minds, creating a gateway of possibilities, creating an enlightened civilization with young body and Vedic mind. The Nithyananda Gurukul is a mystical Vedic school established by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Here, the students live their highest potential and manifest various spiritual powers. The Gurukul functions according to the vision that education is for life, but life itself is not for education. What we earn from this Mekale education is we consider that life itself is for education, but according to the Vedic principles, education is for life. And that is what the core principle of the Nithyananda Gurukul. The Gurukul brings to the world the right kind of education that empowers you. The current system of education established by Mekale and Max Muller in India is a non-involving narrative style of teaching. The original Indian education system was not about continuously giving words, ideas, concepts, theories, or theologies. It is about awakening you to the right context, which is enlightenment. The Indian education system, the Gurukul, is more of a transmission of the knowledge rather than the mere transfer of knowledge. Whether others educate you or you educate yourself, if it is based on the weakest link, it is called generalization, dilution due to generalization. Whether others educate you or you educate yourself, if you plan everything based on best of you, it is called specialization. The Gurukul ambience is for specialization and not for generalization. It is for specialization and not for generalization. Education means putting set of ideas into your head and forcing you to conform to it, pressurizing you to memorize it, and forcibly making you to vomit it. In Gurukul, there is no education. There is only initiations. Initiation means empowering you with powers and letting you to play with it, letting you to manifest, specialize, letting you to manifest your specialization and letting you to grow. Now, let's watch this video where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is explaining the importance of Gurukul system of education.
Now it is time, as per the astrology, no theory can rule any human society which is imposed on that society more than 60 years. Now 60 years is over for the non-involvement narrative education system. I am telling you, future is Gurukul system. The future of education is where the teachers and students live together in one place. If needed, let the parents also stay there. But because basically kids do what you do, they won't do what you say. Understand? They do what you do. They won't do what you say. Whatever you do, simply they will do. They will never do what you say. Most of the time, they don't care for what you say. The future of the Indian education system, I can say, the future of any intelligent education system will be Gurukul system. I am not talking out of pride or arrogance. I am talking seeing the future. I am telling you, I will be leading this revival in the education system through our Gurukul system. Through our Gurukul system. It is going to be the Gurukuls. In Indian education system, complete involvement is required from the side of the teacher and the student. Student need to study the teacher. Teacher need to study the student. Understand? After thoroughly studying the student, teacher identifies the right subject in which the student will be successful. Few things are basic for everyone, like science of completion and enlightenment. Other than the science of enlightenment, all other things, master selects the subject in which the student will be successful. And then student is trained specifically in those fields with the knowledge of enlightenment, with the science of enlightenment, with the truth of enlightenment as the context. Even if you learn the archery, enlightenment is the context. If you study administration, enlightenment is the context. If you learn about business, enlightenment is the context. If you learn plumbing, building houses, sculpting, enlightenment is the context. Indian education system is more of a transmission of the knowledge, not transfer of knowledge. It is not just information based.
Today, the education is known to be the key factor to enabling upwards socio-economic mobility and the strongest means of removing poverty. The right education is crucial to the well-being, stability, and the growth of not only every child, but to humanity as a whole. The Gurukul system is also known to be the knowledge transmission system of Hinduism, one of the pillars which kept the Sanatana Hindu Dharma alive and standing as the world's most ancient living civilization. Through Kailasa's Department of Education, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Swamiji, the Gurukul system is being revived in its entirety. Gurukul, living in the Guru's home. The Gurukul system is rooted on the Guru Sishya Sampradaya, or the living lineage of Guru-disciple relationship. After decades of study on the physical, chemical, and biological uniqueness of meditative states and enlightened beings, it has been found in the normal waking state alone that brain waves show that they are in a complete meditative state, despite being fully active and engaged. In the world of athletics, this state is known as the being in the zone, a glimpse into the peak of focus, cognitive function, attention, and coordination, to name a few. Rather than a glimpse, enlightened beings casually walk, talk, and engage with life settled in this peak. Recent studies have also found that we imbibe the body language, behaviors, and the patterns of those in our environment, not just on the behavioral level, but to the depths of the neurological layer. This is also known as the mirror neuron effect. In this way, there is no better teacher than enlightened Guru, who exists as the superconscious, biological, reproducible anomaly. However, through centuries of Mughal invasion, colonialism, and continued persecution against Hinduism and Hindu tradition, the science of knowledge transmission has been diminishing at an unprecedented rate. After careful study in the colonialism era, it was found that the Gurukul system was standing as the backbone and stability of the Hindu civilization. The Nekale education system was imposed on India after this revelation. 13,000 plus universities across Bharat and 200,000 Gurukuls were destroyed in Bengal and Bihar alone. With the systematic destruction of Hindu universities and Gurukuls goes more than 80% of Hinduism's indigenous knowledge. Thomas Macaulay, who is the destroyer of Indian education system, Indian Gurukul education system, in fact, he said that our English schools are flourishing wonderfully. The effect of this education on Hindus is prodigious. No Hindu who has received an education, English education ever, continues to be sincerely attached to this religion. The Hindu religion is so extravagantly absurd that it is impossible to teach a boy astronomy, geography, natural history without completely destroying the hold which that religion has on its mind. It is my firm belief that if our plans of education are followed up, there will not be a single idolater among the respectable classes in Bengal 30 years hence. And this will be effected without any efforts to proselytize, without the smallest interference with religious liberty, merely by the natural operation of knowledge and reflection. I heartily rejoice in this prospect. Now let us see how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, has revived this ancient Indian education to its entirety. The grand revival of Hinduism's Gurukuls and Gurukul universities. On 2nd of October 2006, the official inauguration of Kailasa's Nithyananda Gurukul happened in Adi Kailasa. In 2008, students of Nithyananda Gurukul practicing yoga and meditation under the sacred banyan tree, Adi Kailasa. 50% of Gurukul Balasans study 1 to 3 years ahead of their age group, scoring in the top 10 to 20% of Mensa at age 14. Gurukul Balasans learning standard academics along with the indigenous Hindu scriptures. Here you can see the Gurukul Balasans practicing the Shivastamba Yoga under the guidance of the trained Shivastamba Yogacharyas. Gurukul Balasans demonstrating the ability to perform Kundalini Rajji or the rope yoga even through blindfold. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Swamiji, personally teaching the once lost science of Dhanur Vidya. %30 of Gurukul Balasans demonstrating the capacity to spontaneously play the instruments without formal training. Here you can see the Gurukul Balasans living the Agamic Shastra based lifestyle. The Balasans of Nithyananda Gurukul demonstrating the ability to read blindfolded. The Gurukul Balasans participating in Vakyartha Sadas. The Gurukul Balasans addressing the Kailasian delegates in Tiruvannamalai in India. Balasans of Nithyananda Rajavidya Gurukul, after successfully hosting the worldwide webinar of the highlights and the science of Nithyananda Gurukul, now the impact of Gurukul. It impacts on whole brain learning, stress-free living, zero teen violence or the aggression, quantum memory activation, recalling verbatim after a single hearing called Ekasantagrahi in the Vedic age. Kailasa Nithyananda Hindu University is the world's largest Hindu university that has been established around the world, with 450 plus campuses in 150 plus countries, which is available to the public from 2003 onwards. Reviving and presenting the world's most ancient lost knowledge in a user-friendly way, the ancient truths taught in a way directly applicable for the modern man's personal, practical, and professional life. With 20 million enrollments and counting, 7,000 plus courses available, delegates and teachers from 50 plus countries directly contributing to the Nithyananda Hindu University. Now let us watch this video where Swamiji beautifully shares that how each of his Gurukul kids is $1 trillion economy.
Long rituals are not useless or unnecessary as a modern brainwashed Hindu thinks. Long rituals are the most powerful method, science, kriya, to awaken all the life energies. See, totally we have 21 life energies. I will describe all the 21 like a fundamental principal forces of life, like gravity, how all these are fundamental forces, principal forces externally. Internally, there are 21 life energies. Ability to visualize, ability to make decision. All these 21 is given to you, but you use them accidentally. That is why your life is full of accidents. Your marriage is accident, wealth is accident, life is accident, money is accident. Very less is planned, much is accident. And I tell you, I have seen people become thieves by not knowing the power of their life energy. I tell you, thief is the cheapest way to exist. I tell you. Because you do not know you own trillions. That is why you steal millions. If you know you own trillions, why will you steal? Listen, asteya, non-stealing, comes to a person who mastered his life energy. Each of my Gurukul kid is $1 trillion economy. I tell you. Each of my Gurukul kid, the powers they can manifest. Understand, Gurukul is not a joke. It is a powerful science. Especially, see, normally, one child plus one child is a two child. But in the Gurukul ecosystem, one child plus one child is 11. 1, 1. Not 1 plus 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. If there are 3 child, it is not 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. No. It is 1, 1, 1. 111. The energy multiplication. Because the ecosystem, understand, that is why Gurukul has to be with the ecosystem. I have always seen, whenever I download a power on one child, when the group sits, I can share that power on the whole group. Because when team of kids or balasans or sannyasis or brahmacharis, when they sit as one team, it is very easy for me to just like a lightning pour the energy on them. Understand? The Sankhya of life energy is different. The multi-dimensional logic of life energy is different. People cannot understand this Sankhya. The multiple life energies, awakening them to its peak and manifesting them is all about life. Long ritual.
Welcome back. So as we heard, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, explained the significance of Gurukul education. Now that, in relation to what is the situation today, in terms of the corona pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic that the world is facing, what has this important pillar of Gurukul got to do with the ongoing pandemic, the ongoing crisis? To understand this in more depth, we really need to listen to what Devi Parashakti has revealed about what to do, how to protect oneself, what is a priority in the oncoming months till the end of this year specifically. Devi Parashakti revealed on 12th May of this year, I came as Nijavatara. I am blessing you. Listen. People, listen. To do good to all of you, I have taken the form of Nithyananda and came down as Nijavatara. People of India, listen. Carefully listen. Time after time, Bharatam is Jnana Bhumi, where enlightened beings come. We cannot make Jnana Bhumi as infertile. Enlightened beings have to come. They have to live. It has to flower. Few hypocrites, because they are stuck in delusion, we cannot sacrifice the world. Cosmos cannot be destroyed. The ship I did to save cosmos from being destroyed is called Adi Kailasa. The ship I did to protect beings from Pralaya is Adi Kailasa. Because of conspiracy of Drohis and enemies' rule, the captain had to leave the ship. Before 12 years, knowing the great deluge that is going to happen, all Aushadhas, by this Guru Purnima, that Jnana Rasavadam, Navapashana, is going to flower. Allow people to come and take dip in Navapashana flower. People, whoever come and dip in Vaidyasarovar, they will not have death. They will not have corona. Crores and crores of people will come in line. Every day they will come and dip in Anandalingam. Listen well to my words, Devi continued on 13th May. For India, I made ship as protection. The Nithyananda Navapashana Lingam in Vaidyasarovar. Go to Adi Kailasa. O Indians, listen. All those regretting losing Nithyananda Nijavatara without confusion, without talking just as lip service, go to Adi Kailasa. Crores of people will come there looking for health, Navapashana, water feast and medicine to get health and protection and enlightenment. To protect India from the great destruction, I, Parashakti, made this huge ship. Even if captain is not there, ship is there. And now, where are we today? When first world countries are closing their borders and literally shutting the doors during this massive global emergency, when schools across the world are shutting down, more than 90% of the schools, as we know, are no longer functional. It's only so-called online education that's going on. Kailasa has opened its doors to all without exception. To start with, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, has facilitated COVID care through the COVID care centers, providing free service, spiritual services, humanitarian services across practically all the de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa across India, which include Adi Kailasa in Vididi, Bangalore, Salem Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Tiruvannamalai Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Rajapalayam Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Puduvai Adinam in Puducherry, Pattanam Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Siragapadi Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Sripuram Adinam in Hyderabad, Madurai Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Avathipalayam Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Hosur Adinam in Tamil Nadu, and Baroda Adinam in Gujarat. That's like over a dozen free COVID care centers being open in all the de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa across India so that, as per Devi Parashakti's ordainment, human beings can prioritize till the end of this year just their very existence, their survival, just being alive. All these pre-COVID care centers providing multiple facilities in multi-layer form. Kailasa literally rushing to the aid of India as India finds itself on the verge of the COVID-19 third wave. Multiple pre-COVID care centers have been opened across the de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa across India. Various humanitarian services being offered during this pandemic in Kailasa's de facto spiritual embassies across India to provide holistic care, not only humanitarian services, medical services, but also spiritual services, spiritual support being provided during this pandemic. And at the core of all the support system is the fundamental, true support, which is the cosmic revelations on the global pandemic in the form of Devi Parashakti Akashic readings and the revelations given by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, as to how to combat this pandemic. The various humanitarian services offered during this pandemic in the de facto spiritual embassies across India include medical care in the form of pure, authentic, holistic healthcare. All fields of medicine being provided in the form of allopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha, naturopathy. Infrastructure to accommodate thousands of people who are coming and who are yet to come. Accommodation for the multi-layered quarantine facility so that protection is provided not in how it is being currently available outside, whether it's provided by the government or otherwise in the form of just so-called home quarantine, which, as governments themselves are admitting, is not effective at all. Emergency readiness in the form of ICU on wheels, enabled with all the state-of-the-art equipment, personal protective medical equipment, food security management through food banks, and organic farming to ensure sustained support for the whole community that is residing in, coming in, and going to come to the various de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa across India. So, if you would like to register yourself for this COVID Care Protection Center in direct consonance with and resonance with Devi Parashakti's ordainment of protect one's life is the highest priority till the end of this year, you can register right now for the multi-layer quarantine facility available at the various de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa across India. All you need to do is register online through this link, https://kailasa.org/Kailasa care. I repeat, https://kailasa.org/KAILASACAR. Let's take a few seconds now to register ourselves in this link and avail ourselves of this facility and take sincerely Devi Parashakti's guidance to protect oneself through the multi-layered quarantine facility and through the spiritual and religious services, which are the core of one's not only immunity building in the physical sense, but community building in the mental sense, where, as one can see across the whole world, the corona pandemic having ripple effects of over 90% of the people experiencing anxiety and depression. In order to combat that, the core spiritual teachings, the ultimate truths of life revealed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, forming the core of the lifestyle in all the de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa across India. So not only to protect oneself from the corona pandemic, but to go through this pralaya and come out of it successfully without any mental breakdown, and in fact experiencing a quantum leap in one's consciousness, the leap into super consciousness. All this can be available to you just with a click of a button now if you register yourself at this COVID Care Center Protection link and decide to avail of this facility.
What I mean by the word Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa. I will revive Hinduism. I am a Hindu revivalist, not by any revolution, but by evolution. And setting model community. Kailasas, enlightenment ecosystems, Sarvanya Peethas all over the world. All powerful cognition, knowledge, only when you live, power manifestation and possibilities manifestation happens. It's a fundamental truth. Hinduism cannot live exclusively as one sampradaya. No. All sampradayas of Hinduism is an ecosystem. So don't keep quiet thinking that if one sampradaya is attacked, only that sampradaya is going to be affected. All of us are ecosystems. I invite all of you to get involved and enjoy Hinduism by the principle of Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. When you protect Dharma, Dharma protects you. We will make the whole planet flourish spiritually, the spiritual prosperity. Happen the whole planet Earth. We all have to coexist together.
get you health. We get you ability to build beautiful relationships in your life. We get you direct spiritual support, and we make sure you become wealthy. We won't stop giving you just good life. We will literally not stop till you live enlightened life. Manifesting the state of Paramashiva, space of Paramashiva, powers of Paramashiva, being of Paramashiva. Whole world should become Kailasians.
I want the whole world to know Hindus have something great to contribute to the world. We have something great to contribute to the world. Let us do that.
Nithyanandam. And now let's see, after having seen the inception of this incomparable spiritual enlightenment ecosystem called Adi Kailasa, today, as per Devi Parashakti's ordainment, how Adi Kailasa is, specifically Adi Kailasa is enabled for the multi-layer quarantine facility for the COVID care protection centers. Specifically, in terms of the Department of Health, the elaborate, micromanaged steps that have been taken directly by the guidance of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam. As Bhagavan says, God is in the details. And needless to say, even in this important aspect, dimension of the COVID Care Protection Center, the Department of Health, the health care, what all needs to be done, to what level Bhagavan has micromanaged the implementation of health care in the COVID Care Protection Centers. Let us take a look at the same. Immunity boosters and COVID care are very closely related. Kailasa is not about just curing any disease, be it in the physical level or the mental level. It starts with prevention. And immunity boosting is very fundamental to combating the possibility of COVID infection. So the supplements that are provided at Adi Kailasa Sarvanyapeetham COVID Care Center include allopathic immune boosters, which in the form of zinc supplements, vitamin D and vitamin C, so as to boost the immunity of the people who have come to avail of the COVID care protection. Through Ayurvedic medicine, naturopathy, Siddha, immunity boosters are also being provided to protect one and all from the COVID-19. The immunity boosters and natural remedies in the form of steaming once a day with herbs like tulsi, eucalyptus, nochi, and turmeric leaves. All these herbal leaves are taken from the healing trees which are growing directly in Adi Kailasa, which have grown because of the very presence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam. Literally every inch of Adi Kailasa, the Mother Earth in the Adi Kailasa Sarvanyapeetham, so giving, so nourishing, providing everything that is needed for every resident. Every plant that grows over here is a herb, is an understatement to make. Twice a week consumption of the Kabasura Kudini, which is a herbal mixture of pepper, ginger, and cloves, and other ingredients, which is extensively aimed for boosting the lungs, improving the respiratory system, and treating infectious conditions like cough, cold, and fever in a very natural way without suppressing the symptoms, but allowing the body to combat any imbalance in the three doshas. The Nilavembu Podi needs to be taken once a week, Agastya Lehyam, 5 days. This entire detailed prescription and the medicine, the boosters, everything given to each and every resident here. The Kalisavi Pattakam, 3-4 tablets per day for 5 days, various kashayams, and every single supplement being prepared over here with the herbs that grow over here and provided to the residents. One can see here gargling with salt water and turmeric recommended, and everybody does it as a group, so it becomes like a lifestyle. And to hold all this together in a sustainable form, the physical health, the mental health, psychological health, and spiritual growth. The spiritual routine forms the spindle for the same, which includes everything from the body cleansing, internal cleansing processes like the Panchakriya, Haritaki, which as Bhagavan has said, is literally the miracle herb, which increases the level of oxygen in the blood by almost 300%. Castor oil, which completely cleanses one's entire digestive system. Neem juice, which ensures no worms can infest one's digestive system, intestine, stomach, etc. Prathama Vinyasa Krama Yoga, which is done in the Brahma Muhurta, the 108 from yoga asanas with the 12 components of Nithyananda Yoga, led by an Acharya in the Brahma Muhurta in the wee hours of the morning, having a beautiful start of the day. The Trinetra Kumbhaka, as Bhagavan has revealed, and which today scientific studies are aplenty, showing how this pranayama is so helpful in directly combating COVID, because it increases the oxygen levels in the body and it increases the lung capacity like no other exercise can. And puja, to connect to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, to Paramashiva daily, morning, and experience the deep state of oneness with him. And the basic sanitation and safety practices that are practiced in the Adinam, including training and education on and enabling of disposal of waste, RO water systems for drinking water, cleansing and sanitization of all the overhead tanks at regular intervals, regular de-beading, maintenance and repair of electrical circuits, plumbing facilities, communication facilities for the safety of the residents, compost pit filling with biodegradables so that one lives in alignment with nature without polluting Mother Earth with non-recyclables, ensuring it is all recyclable waste, organic waste. The diagnosis, COVID care, quarantine methodology includes immediately upon arrival to the campus, the occupants are quarantined for 15 days. This ensures, as today the medical fraternity agrees, in spite of whatever variants of the COVID-19 virus happen day over day, there are Delta, Delta plus, all kinds of different colors of fungus, whatever may be the variation of the coronavirus. One thing the medical fraternity also agrees is within a span of about 10 days, the virus cannot survive more to infect the other person in an infectious manner. So even if a person is falsely detected as negative, but is actually a carrier of the virus, after a span of 10 days, he or she no longer remains a carrier. Based upon this principle, the quarantine is ensured for every person who comes in. Of course, every person has to come in with a COVID-19 clear certificate, with a negative COVID-19 negative certificate. And the occupants are quarantined for 50 days. The swab test, the RT-PCR test has to be done, and that clean COVID clean certificate is taken. And after that, the 15 days of quarantine, all food handlers to be wearing masks and gloves and keeping distance. The disposal of the waste food to be done with gloves and masks. Disposal of gloves and masks by incineration. In case of any emergency, protective kits are ready at hand to take a COVID positive patient to the hospital. This is what we were describing, ICU on wheels. And education being provided to the residents about the COVID-19 symptoms and what are the things to watch out for. In today's scenario, doctors say anything out of the ordinary, you should be suspecting COVID. So any kind of a fever, any kind of an unhealth being exhibited by any person, the medical fraternity, the healthcare people immediately attend to the same. And the practices that have been recommended by all medical organizations and doctors hand washing and infection control. Washing hands is often thoroughly with soap and water or with alcohol-based sanitizer. Avoiding sharing any items like dishes, drinking glasses, cups, eating utensils, towels, bedding, or other items with other residents in the Adinam so as to ensure basic hygiene and care. Mask protection. Every single resident provided with mask, and the mask to be worn at a time when the person has to go, if at all a person has to go outside, if exposed to vendors or interacting with the people from the outside world. That the mask is an N95 mask, double layer cotton mask, and the procedures for taking care of the same, how to wash it and how to maintain it, are also educated to the people. Face shield. The people who are taking care of the medical health, of the physical health of the residents, the medical professionals also using face shields as an extra protective wear. And the quarantine rules explained to the people along with why we need to do so. The first line of quarantine being the people in the first circle who come in contact with the outside world, be it the post person or the delivery person who gets the courier delivery person who gets across the packages to the people. The area of stay of this first line of quarantine is confined to the outermost circle in this multi-layer quarantine facility where communication with the outside is happening with vendors, etc. And those people are, as Bhagwan said, the frontline defense. They stay in a well-ventilated single room, preferably with an attached separate toilet. The person should not be coming into contact with inmates of Adinam, especially the elderly people, pregnant women, children, and persons with comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, heart problem, asthma, etc. And their movement is restricted to the interaction with the outside world and within the precincts, within the room or the area that is allotted to them, so that there is minimal interaction and hence minimal exposure, minimal risk. The delivery of packages, all parcels received at the gate to be sanitized, spraying with disinfectant. All deliveries being contactless delivery, wearing of face coverings and hand gloves, mandatory. If contactless delivery is not an option, or request the delivery to be left in a protected and isolated place. The outer packaging of the item or product to be disposed before it enters the Adinam, so that we ensure that not even packages are used as a means of contamination and possible risk and exposure to the virus. All the delivery bags, boxes, and containers to be thrown away after transferring the items to their respective places. The surfaces of the package to be cleaned with a simple disinfectant and let to dry. All hands handling the packaging thoroughly washed with soap and water and or antibacterial solution frequently. And all mail and packaged products to be left outside for 24 hours before using them. And the warning signs, if the fever is continuing for more than 5 days, or it returns in the second week after having been left febrile for a day or two, all these conditions tested daily in terms of the temperature, the body temperature, the heart rate, and any signs of breathlessness or tightness in the chest, monitored, and the due medical care and preventive action taken. Oxygen saturation levels, another important parameter that is checked with the pulse oximeter. If it's less than 94%, it's a red flag. And the 6-minute walk test, where one records the saturation rate before and after the walking briskly for 6 minutes. And if the saturation falls by more than 3%, it is not favorable, and less than 94% is not good either. One can see here the in-campus ambulance all equipped with the state-of-the-art equipment, including the ventilator. And as we always know, prevention is the best medicine. So people who come in as newly residents will be given a separate room with a toilet facility. Under no circumstances they exit the room. It's a special quarantine facility and strictly followed so that there is no interaction with the rest of the people who are not in the quarantine period being 15 days, including the food being served at their doorstep, so that there is absolute care and discretion exercised to ensure no violation of the multi-layer quarantine. And the people in the quarantine facility also monitored and ensured that they have good hydration, good nutritious diet. They do steam inhalation twice daily, salt and turmeric hot water gargling twice daily. Ayurveda and Siddha medication to be given as per the instructions by the doctors and the physicians, and the doctor contacted if there is worsening of symptoms for specific management, which could be further consultation or investigations and treatment. And pranayama, yoga, everything taught, so that people are equipped to handle on a physical level, on a mental level, and an immunity level, everything that is needed for handling this COVID-19 pandemic. So if there are no symptoms at the end of the 15 days, person can come out of quarantine and the person then mixes with the rest of the Adinam. So these symptoms monitored very closely by the medical team during the quarantine, and very detailed, precise directions, guidance followed as to how to handle if there is any symptoms in various combinations which signal the possibility of COVID. Various leads assigned at various places so that safety of the inmates is ensured. No visitors allowed in the vicinity of the quarantined person. And the environmental sanitization, including disinfection of the various surfaces, including toilet surfaces, clothes, linen, etc. And the various medical tests, an elaborate list of medical tests conducted so that if any other issues are also detected and accordingly can be taken care of. And that is actually the whole 9 yards, so to speak, in the medical care facility, and the various rules and regulations to be followed of the Adinam, the spiritual rules, which include no smoking, no drinking, no drugs, no substance abuse, and no consumption of anything other than vegetarian food, so no non-vegetarian food, and in respect of the monastic discipline of the Adinam, illicit sex being completely prohibited, and the basic etiquette like the traditional Indian clothing and personal and environmental cleanliness to be respected, just as a traditional Adinam would. Emergency handling also equipped in the Adinam with the ICU on the wheels, oxygen concentrators in the case of emergency. All this is as per the readiness as ordained by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, so that every person who comes here to avail of the COVID care facility is taken care of, and not only taken care of, visibly, tangibly supported in every level, and in case of any eventuality, being ready for that emergency as well. So you would like to avail of this free COVID care center, do register now through the link https://kailasa.org/Kailasa care.
Just be alive for next 3 years. Don't die within next 3 years. Just don't die within next 3 years. Be alive, somehow be alive. I'm working sincerely. I will reach you somehow. Somehow I will reach you. It's my commitment to humanity. Just don't die within next 3 years. I will reach you wherever you are, whichever corner of the world you may be. I will reach you with enlightenment. You manifesting the space, state, powers, being Paramashivoham. It is possible, and it is possible for you. Paramashivoham will reach you with enlightenment science. I know he is going to do the job.
Nithyanandam, welcome back to all the viewers who are joining with us. I hope that every single one of you knows the exciting news that we are going to be in the divine presence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism at 9 p.m. IST. So make sure that you're staying tuned, and that if you are making time to ensure that you sit for the satsang in the grace and presence of the avatar, the incarnation of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself. I'm sure many of you have joined us yesterday, joined for the Nithyananda satsang, and we all were able to sit for that really glorious 2 hours for ensuring, imbibing the powerful cognitions from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And now, today again, at 9 p.m. IST, we are going to be having the darshan of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and being able to sit for the Nithyananda satsang. This is a beautiful opportunity, a beautiful way for us to sit in Shakti Nipada, sit in the deep restful awareness and oneness with Paramashiva, and simply by sitting in his presence and being a part of his grand extended space for manifesting Kailasa, each and every one of us can manifest after that the powers of Paramashiva. So please make sure that you know that today at 9 p.m. IST, we are going to be having the live darshan of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Ensure that you're staying tuned, and if you have to, you go and come back. Make sure that at 9 p.m. you are tuned in and you can get ready for the darshan of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Now, we're going to be entering into the next segment of today's program, a continuation of the previous segments. From the last segment, on the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Now, in the last segment, we were speaking specifically about violence against women used as a tactic to continue the oppression of a certain minority, community, or ethnic background. And we saw specifically how the sexual violence, the gender-based violence, is used as a tactic, used as a way to make sure that a certain society is continued to be disempowered and ultimately, essentially enslaved by oppressive and enslaved by supremacist forces. Often these supremacist forces have terrorist and racist motivations behind what they are doing, how they feel that they have the right over another person, and ultimately have been historically oppressing other cultures and other traditions. We saw examples of the Native American genocide that have happened just 200 years back, the Vietnam War that happened just 50 years back. And in each of these instances, how sexual violence and gender-based violence was used as a tactic, as a way that the entire society, the entire civilization was destabilized and oppressed. And even until today, facing the repercussions, facing the consequences of an entire society being being subjugated by their attackers. In the Hindu Holocaust, for the last around 1,000 to 700 years, or 700 to 1,000 years, we have seen again and again how when the Mughals invaded, this was the same circumstance, where they first attacked the women and children and destabilized the entire civilization by jeopardizing the future and destabilizing the family, the household, and the leaders of the community. And also in the British occupation, how strategically the women were made less than their counterparts, less than their other gender role. And what we understand today, what we see today, the amount of violence against women going on in India, the amount of child abuse going on in India had all started during this time when the British had enslaved literally the entire Hindu population in India. So just using this as an example, we have seen now today how that is continuing. Yesterday, in the previous segment of this presentation on the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the women of Kailasa, we had a one-on-one close interview with Ma Nithyananda Swami, who is a senior Purna Sannyasi of the female order of Sannyasis revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, a part of the sovereign order of Kailasa. And going from the very beginning, going from her background, how she met Swamiji, how Swamiji empowered women and of course herself to take up sannyas, how just through the sacred sentiments of Sanatana Hindu Dharma and sharing the message, sharing the words of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, she found so much of healing, and not only that, empowerment through sharing the words and message of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, sharing the sacred sentiments ultimately of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. And then we were introduced to the attacks that happened in 2010 from an inside perspective, from the direct words of Ma Ashila Swami. And being a senior sannyasi, what happened in her eyes, how how they saw the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism undergo one of the most brutal attacks against his self, and how suddenly the entire Adi Kailasa Sarvagnapeetham was set on fire, an attack in every direction. What was the media showing versus what they were undergoing, and how she literally had undergone one of the most brutal attacks in modern day history against Kailasa, against a ethnic minority. And Ma Achala Swami then at that point in time had to suddenly found herself out on the streets, afraid for her life, not able to see even what's coming next, where she will get food next, and at the same time continuously worrying, holding on at the same time to Swamiji, trying to understand in a whole perspective what was going on, holding on continuously to Swamiji, and the faith and absolute trust in the revival of Kailasa that each and every one that Swamiji had instilled upon them. Now, let us continue understanding, let us continue from Ma Achala Swami about the attacks in 2010. We can just recap that and then also go further into the further attacks that happened in 2012, which unfortunately she was one of the main victims, and how an illegal arrest happened against her and 15 other women, and of course, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself. I hope each and every one of the viewers takes a few minutes today as we are eagerly awaiting the divine presence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself. Please share the link below that is in the scroll. Share on all of the social media platforms and all of where you feel you can make a difference, where you feel that it will be more known. The fact that finally, after decades of persecution, finally, there has been at least one form of reprieve where the UN, the United Nations, has recognized the persecution that is ongoing against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the women of Kailasa. So now I hope each and every one of the viewers takes a few minutes to share right now the link provided down below, and we'll be continuing the sharing, heartfelt sharing by Ma Achala Swami in just a few minutes after a very quick break.
Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivoham.
Nithyananda. Nithyananda, welcome back to all the viewers. Now, I welcome Achala Swami again to the panel today to continue the sharings that she started yesterday on the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Now, yesterday, Achala Swami, we walked through the 2010 attacks and how you saw your guru's home becoming literally burning to ashes, and how you felt during that time, and how in 2010 suddenly you found yourself, not even knowing where to go, what to do, and you had this strength at that point in time and perseverance to come back to ensure that you're coming back, you're standing as a sannyasi of the Nithyananda order because of the empowerment that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had literally bestowed on all of us at that time. And despite, even after 53 days in prison and seeing him go through so much, and after that, coming back to the world, establishing worldwide satsang centers, having the Zoom conferencing starting, and in so many different ways, many developments, despite this persecution happening. Still in 2012, we saw brutal onslaught of attacks again on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So can we begin with what happened in 2012 today and how that started, and if you can share with us also about how you were victim and now a survivor at the hands of the anti-Hindu militant forces.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, exactly like you said, 2010 was the first massive attack on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, our beloved Swamiji. It is not that he had not faced attacks till then. The day he entered into public life, like Swamiji says, the anti-Hindu terrorist militants recognized the power he wields and the potential he holds long before the so-called Hindus, practicing or non-practicing, realized. So, way back from 2003, attacks on his life had started. 2010 was the first major one because many of the so-called ideologically disconnected forces, be it atheistic terrorist militants or the neo-Hindutva forces, they all ganged up together because they had one common cause, which is exterminate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa, because they knew if Swamiji is given one sliver of a chance, he is going to revive Hinduism in all its glory. So they very well knew that's not meant to happen if they have to have their sway. So 2010 was the first attack in the major way, and then 2012 was one more shocker because here you had literally the governments openly declaring war against Swamiji, against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. You had unimaginable statements made by governments, by heads of states, and by these anti-Hindu terrorist militants, literally live broadcasting of murder attempts, assassination attempts on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. One can see here just one of the footages of this so-called reporter. He's actually an anti-Hindu terrorist militant, the chief reporter of a state-sponsored television channel by the name Suvarna TV. And there he is blatantly standing over there. He actually is holding a package in his hand, which he said, no way you are going to come, and he wants to actually hand it to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, who's just a few feet away from him. And later, when actually things unveiled, we knew it was actually an anthrax bomb. Openly, you can see here, this is not a footage which is captured just by us. It is footage that has been relayed across television channels, not just regional, local television channels or national television, just like we saw in 2010. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, his quarters being burned, and he locked inside that along with his monks and being burnt alive, and that is being flagrantly, so shamelessly telecasted in television. The same way over here, this so-called reporter comes into the press conference, which is called by us, to expose how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was actually framed in 2010 in the false case, accusing him of rape, how the whole thing was debunked. We called for a press conference for that, and this reporter just walks in over there with an anthrax letter bomb. And there we are fighting for our lives, fighting to protect Swamiji, because this man was all set to give that letter bomb to Swamiji, and there Swamiji said in public, he is telling, no way, I'm not going to accept any suspicious package from you. And literally in the moments that ensued, we just took it on, the disciples, the monks and the nuns, just taking him on, because there Swamiji is saying, no, I'm not going to take it, tell him to get out. And he just doesn't listen. You can see him just advancing with this package, which is an anthrax letter bomb. And he just stepped out to counter this terrorist. And we're telling him, no way, we do not want to touch this suspicious package. Take your package and get out. And he just refuses to budge. And you can see that the supporting anti-Hindu militants that are sitting over there, because the whole thing was actually planned. We were very naive once again to think that when we call for a press conference to reveal the truth, the people will be there to listen. But we never realized that the level of the sinisterness of this conspiracy with these anti-Hindu forces, they do not even want, and they were ensuring we cannot even transmit that truth to the people at large. Because before the Bhagavan could reveal how the case framed against him is just absolute lawfare, is just trying to frame him in a false case, before he could even open his mouth for that, this anti-Hindu terrorist, along with his media mafia, was there to disrupt that press conference, because they knew once Bhagavan reveals the falsity of the whole case against him, nothing could stand in court. The false case would collapse. And whatever that they had conspired for years to frame him, to frame the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, would just disappear into thin air. And that is something that they could not afford, because not only would it be a victory for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, it would also make a statement about the diabolical conspiracy which was launched against Kailasa, against Bhagavan, against the followers of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So they disrupted successfully that press conference, not without direct assassination attempt on Swamiji. And there he is coming, you can see, so brazenly, so boldly, with his chest held high, because he knows that what is going to follow is exactly as they would want to be crafted, because they are the ones who hold the camera. What they relay on television is what reaches the people. So how much ever we scream that, hey, you can't be literally attacking Swamiji like this, we can't put his life at risk, you can't be assaulting us, female disciples, sannyasis, none of that gets portrayed. What gets portrayed is just as they want angry faces of all of us. Why are we angry? Because we got molested, literally in public. You grope someone's chest and you sexually assault a woman, a sannyasi at that. What else can you expect other than just anger at how this can be happening in a so-called largest democracy? How can it be happening in Bharat, in India, which is home, which is known to be respecting woman as mother herself? So this, you can see here how This time, the conspiracy was even more multi-layered and even more sinister because you had the media mafia ganging up already planned. Previously, it was in the form of the fabricated morph video, which they spread virally. This time, it is live telecast because all the elements are in it together. You have the media mafia, you have the bureaucracy, you have the police watching silently because they don't want to take any stance here, or they want to give their tacit support to what is happening out there. And it is not something as the media mafia would project it to be a mob violence. It was not. It was a planned attack. And not only that, they actually got away with something as paradoxical as, you can see the footage clearly shows this is what is relayed in television. We, the followers of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and he himself are the victims of the attack. Yet, instead of taking action against these perpetrators, we, the victims, were actually projected as criminals, and we had to face arrest. So the day unfolded into something just unbelievable, just shocking. Even today, as we remember it, I'm not able to understand any logic behind how this can be sustained in today's modern world, in modern society, where
even after the attack, that first of all, a media personnel had come in, and in the guise of a media personnel, trying to attempt to directly breach the security of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and then attempt to assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Then literally out of self-defense, when women such as yourself and female sannyasis such as yourself, out of self-defense, are literally screaming and trying to act out of self-defense, the media is showing this in a completely different way. Then next and following hours, within a few hours, just a huge mob of anti-Hindu militant forces suddenly jumping over the gates, throwing literal boulders inside of the Adinam, and ensuing violence across in every single direction. This kind of violence not even precedented by peaceful sannyasis, such as how you lived for literally the last 5-6 years in the Adinam. And literally broadcasting, the media literally broadcasting the sexual assault of yourself, as well as other women, female sannyasis as well. We saw the absolutely horrendous footage of Ma Nithyananda Swami, and even of yourself just being harassed, molested, and violently assaulted by the anti-Hindu militant forces. And just within a few hours, we had even Ma Bhaktika Swami share this a couple of days ago, just within a few hours, or I think within 24 hours, the police enter the Adinam and they start to ask women, sannyasis, to come to the police station. And you were not even informed that you were under arrest. That's the first shock that I had when I had heard about this, because even the legal protocols to inform why you are being taken to the police station, especially women, especially a woman needs to know where she is going, where she is being taken to. And if you're under arrest, know that firsthand. But until you were taken to the police station on this particular day, you had not even known that you were under arrest. Can you explain about this particular arrest that happened, in particular, why it happened, the press meet that you guys held, the women sannyasis that held in the following day, and then the arrest that happened, where literally you're not even told that you're under arrest, and suddenly you find out when you're in the police station that this was actually an arrest. And again, the tables turn on you. You have the shock of your life, and again, you're victimized by the anti-Hindu forces.
Actually, the ironic part in this whole thing is, it is not only that we did not know that we are getting arrested, we were actually thinking, okay, finally we're getting justice. The police actually, the way they called us is, you guys got beaten up, and so much happened the previous day. And the next day, actually, the reason why we had the press conference was, the whole purpose for which the press conference was called for was defeated. We did not want the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan, to take one more risk of coming and addressing the press conference, and God knows which anti-Hindu terrorist element will try to attack him again. But we cannot give up the cause for which the press conference had been called for, which is to reveal the dirty secrets of the false rape accuser and to debunk, just threadbare, the whole falsity of the false case that Bhagwan was framed in way back in 2010. And all the character assassination that followed after that morph video was released, and then the lawfare that followed with this false rape accuser at the hem of affairs. So we wanted to ensure that this truth reaches to the world, to the people, to the concerned authorities. And therefore we called for the press conference the next day, because the previous day was just a shocking sequence of events where all of us literally in a span of just 12 hours, we went through everything from attempted rape, sexual assaults, to attempts to murder, and you name it. And everybody, like practically everybody in the Adinam had gone through hell the previous day. And then we decided, no, but what for we are over here, what for we called for the press conference, for the justice that we expected, we called for the press conference again. And as you can see, we were all, in a very systematic way, we wanted to address the legal points and what exactly happened, why the false case was foisted against Swamiji, and how it was foisted, and how the whole thing cannot stand. Literally, the case would have collapsed that very day. And there we were sharing. And we did not even realize that amongst those so-called media mafia that had come in on that day, which were the implants of the anti-Hindu elements, there were also various government people also who said that they are actually from the government, from the police forces, plainclothes police is what they had said. And we saw that, okay, now when we actually started, we felt relieved that, okay, today we have the police protection and we have all the right people listening, the concerned authorities listening to us. And we were befooled by that, because here, when we saw these open rogues, these rowdies attacking us openly, and there was really no opposition from any of the so-called people who was there to listen to the truth or to ensure the safety and security of us. None of that happened. It was just an attack all let loose. And there you had us again, yet again, just our brother disciples and sister disciples trying to protect each other. And you had all these so-called political and linguistic outfits, people from professing to be from those organizations attacking us openly. They had no reason. Really speaking, they had no reason, but they were only there to execute that strategy of these anti-Hindu elements. In fact, I remember a few years later, about 3 years later or so, when we were having on television, we always conduct television programs providing spiritual counseling live to the live, people who call in. So we had in one of the programs in Kannada, this very man who you can see in the striped white and blue t-shirt, who was the one who was assaulting me and who was beating all the people up in the Adinam. He's probably a paid rowdy, and his whole job was go create a mayhem over there, create a breach of law and order and breach of peace, so that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism could be framed in yet another false case of breach of law and order in his Adinam. This very man, after a few years, he actually called in live on the spiritual counseling program, and he actually said, I want to confess something. This was on live on television, and he's telling that I am the one who attacked all of you on that fateful day, but I have been following what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is doing, what Swamiji is doing, what services y'all are providing, and what y'all are contributing. And I called in purposely today to apologize for what I did the other day, because I didn't mean any personal, I didn't have a personal agenda, but I was hired. This actually, he came on live television as a call-in, and he apologized, saying, this is not what I ever want to do, and I feel so bad for having made you all go through this. So it was very evident, as we always suspected, that this is not individuals who have any personal hatred, even though the media mafia and the anti-Hindu elements would love to tout the story of mob lynching and people violence, mob violence and mob hatred. None of that is true, because the people at large are with Swamiji because they have only benefited from the teachings of Swamiji, from everything that Bhagavan has provided in the form of spiritual services, religious services, meditation programs, yoga programs. It is these vested interests who have always wanted to eliminate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. It is their sinister, well-planned conspiracy, which unfortunately for us, we were never able to decode upfront, because like we were sharing in the morning, we never imagined we can even have enemies, because we've only done good to the world. And as Bhagavan shared yesterday, it is not any strategy that he ever used. It is not about his intelligence in his strategy. It is just pure obedience to his gurus. And to whatever limited extent we can say, it is our obedience to our master, our guru, in whatever levels of integrity we are all in, be exercising the same, exhibiting, radiating, living the same is all the claim that we can have to any kind of intelligence in handling this persecution, this genocide, cultural, not only cultural genocide, literally physical genocide that Kailasa has been subjected to over decades.
Right, Ma. Yes, Ma. Please go ahead. Yes.
You can see over here.
Yes. So actually, in
police, the police people, the policemen, it's not that they have not seen in front of their eyes this rowdy attacking us, but you see the tacit response that he gets and those anti-Hindu elements get. It is just like they're given so much of respect, as if they did nothing. And on the other hand, as you were just saying, all of us, the female monks, the male disciples, especially the people who voiced their opposition against the attack that was being done on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, all of us were very nicely arrested without even being told that we are arrested. We in fact were led to the police jeep saying, come, we will take your interrogation. And we're like, okay, finally we are getting some justice. We can get to say our side of the story. Little did we know that we'll reach the police station and we'll just be put behind bars.
Yes, Ma, that's exactly the crime that, again, another example where they're showing in one way, the media in the outside, they're telling us even in one way. And what ends up happening is a complete crime against our basic human rights. And in this case, it was not just you and the 15 other women who were arrested at this time, but another false case filed against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, another arrest against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and his life put at risk, put under so much pressure and torture, and again, even kidnapped in this few days that happened. And again, another instance where the life of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was put under risk. And you had actually to spend one night in the prison. And were you even told why that was, what was going on, or how you can receive bail or get out at that time? You had to actually spend one night in the prison, and I'm sure it was not with any kind of decency or with any kind of basic decency to as far as how you were treated in prison on that day.
Actually, just like the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, none of us was given any legal counsel. We were very clear we've not done any crime. There was no statement taken. There was nothing. We are supposed to be getting access to our legal advice. At least over the past 2 years, post 2010, we had some lawyers and legal professionals who we wanted to take advice from. That was not provided. And frankly, it was not even the lack of legal advice that we were being subjected to. Our biggest concern, as you can see, practically all of us, you see those anti-Hindu elements, they are raising slogans of victory, and the police just openly supporting them. And here we were, all of us, sitting over here in the police jeep. And when we knew that we were arrested, the biggest concern that was there on all our heads was, oh my God, if we are arrested and we are sitting over here in jail, we don't know what other attacks are being done by these anti-Hindu terrorists on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We do not even know whether he's safe. We don't know whether he's being physically attacked, or they're going to frame him also in a spate of further false cases. We were clueless. If just an ordinary woman is not getting access to legal advice, a legal professional, access to a legal, some reprieve, then where is the question of Swamiji or Bhagwan? He is going to be subjected to one more, God knows how many rounds of lawfare and persecution yet again. That was something that was really bothering us. And we actually heard the police speaking amongst themselves. It was very clear that this whole thing was not something which is being masterminded on a very local level. It was at a very high level, because we could hear the police making phone calls and the conversations happening where they were getting clear directions about what is to be done next. There in front of our eyes on the television channels that the policemen were watching themselves, we could see the same anti-Hindu terrorist, this chief reporter, he is just declaring his victory in television, saying that, yes, now we have got victory. And he was twisting the whole story. He made it into a linguistic persecution also, because he started saying that here you have these anti-Kannada. We have been residents of Bangalore for decades, and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has literally served with his own hands, be it in the form of Annadan or free medical camps, free spiritual counseling, and or the microfinancing schemes that have been provided to all the villagers, literally the 1,000 villages that surround Biddi, that surround Adi Kailasa. Not a single person over here we know will even support one statement of what he made. In fact, the locals were the ones who came, who were so concerned. They came and they were so worried. What happened? I mean, what is going on over here? But the story that was projected by this media mafia on television was exactly the opposite. They presented us as people who are ethnic minority over here, linguistic minority, more Tamil speaking people than Kannadigas, and they started projecting the whole thing as patriotism towards the state. You had the chief minister starting to talk things like, I will ensure that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is evicted from the state. It was just shocking. You had the head of the state making brazen statements that I will ensure his bail is cancelled in already the cases of false case, and already 53 days of illegal custody that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had undergone. And now you have the chief minister making brazen statements that he will ensure the bail in that false case is cancelled. The whole ashram is closed. And he will ensure that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan, is really like taught a lesson. That is the kind of words that he was using. It was just shocking. There, like, anticlimax is not even the word that I would use. You had this press conference that we felt will finally bring out the truth to the world about the whole lawfare, the persecution, the genocide being done to Kailasa and to Swamiji. And here the whole thing just so very easily steered exactly 180-degree opposite to create one more round of lies and hate speech, hate propaganda, disinformation, just spewed across television channels. Everybody supporting this false story. This huge character assassination of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism just practically like multiplied 1,000 times, and successfully ensuring that the truth does not reach the public.
And even the government forces, in this case, the government, the institutions in power, were outright against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and wanting to pursue his arrest and further investigation, and they were against Kailasa. But so then where do we go for help? Where do we seek justice ultimately? It comes down to that question, because we're trying to go to, in every case, we're trying to go to every source and try to find help. Ultimately, where do we find a solution, and how, in the following days, the entire Adinam was sealed. And actually the other day, as Ma Bhaktika Swami was sharing, we even understood that this illegal sealing of the entire Adinam, even during the Jewish Holocaust, and even during the internment camps that the Japanese were put in the USA, and the Jewish Holocaust in Germany and much of Europe, when the minority, the ethnic minority, wanted to practice their own rituals or their own version of puja, they had to do it in complete secrecy. It was outlawed by the government in place, and the government stopped them from doing it. And we saw the exact same laws, the exact same policies put in place in an ashram and monastery, and in a country where we would expect that we could practice Hinduism freely. But instead, we saw the outright denial of even practicing our worship, not being able to convene in one place, even food becoming a scarcity. So many police and even unknown people just walking through the Adinam, and it becoming a completely unsafe place for a Hindu woman and Hindu children to survive. Would you be able to share a few details about what exactly happened during the ashram seal and in the following days, and how on one side how that was projected in the media, and also what all the Adinavasis, everyone was going through inside?
Actually, it is they very successfully first separated all of us. As one saw, like even in the 2010, the first policy that was used by these cunning criminals is ensure isolation of the victim. So in this case also, they first isolated us from our guru, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, by putting him in such a serious life threat that he could not be available to us, just like he was not able to be available to us in 2010. Then amongst us itself, the separation, ensuring that we are not able to be in touch with each other. You had one segment getting arrested. You had another segment which had to take care of the Adinam. Like you have, as you can see over here, the few people that are left, they had to handle these authorities coming in, barging into the campus in the name of investigation and searching for what? But they flash a piece of paper, they come seal the Adinam, they put their locks in all the places, literally sealing the ashram. And not only that, they expected the Adinavasis, the residents, to provide them with everything from food to place to stay. Everything had to be provided. So you had one segment of people who had to take care that the Adinam is not ransacked, or they don't create issues like, putting some false cases on the people, or trying to defame the Adinam. And then you had another set of people, the few people who are left, to run around outside to ensure that we get the legal reprieve. So to ensure that we are not kept in our senses, we cannot grasp the reality as it is happening. We are deprived of and always kept under tension.
Yes, and this is a tactic. The isolation is a tactic even recognized by the United States Department of Defense. In all ethnocides and genocides, isolating the community from their leaders, isolating the women and children, isolating the whole community, and ensuring that they're not able to do what, and not able to continue their lives in a peaceful and uplifting way, not able to continue what they wanted, how they wanted to live, the lifestyle they wanted to live in the first place. In all ethnocides, in all genocides that we've seen across the world. And again, now, in the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, this is a tactic they used against each and every individual. We're seeing it again and again. And now even with the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism not even being able to interact, able to live in India safely, is another form where the leader of a community, literally, who is reviving Kailasa and successfully doing so, has sacrificed so much just for us to be able to live the lifestyle of Kailasa, and also at the same time enjoy him, even if it is at a distance. And unfortunately, now we're still seeing that tactic, still seeing the isolation of a leader from the entire minority, the entire Hindus out there who are following him and see him as Guru and as God. Now, thank you, Mahachala Swami, for again sharing with us and going through the 2012 attacks and sharing your perspective, how it happened, and for the first time also sharing personally what it really feels like to have undergone so much of assault, molestation at the hands of the anti-Hindu militant forces, and also, but on the other hand, seeing how literally in the media it is absolutely twisted. And we have this platform, at least on Nithyananda TV, a platform that Swamiji himself has worked so hard for the last 27 years to create for Hindus all over the world to share our story, and at least in one place the truth be exposed, be told to the world about the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Now, it has come time for us to enter into the meditation and receive with an open heart and receive with ultimate gratitude the presence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism for the Nithyananda Satsang. Let us all get ready for the Nithyananda Satsang and enter into a brief meditation. Sit with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line and begin chanting the Mahavakya, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Chant deeply and intensely, and let us create a deep, fulfilling space inside of our inner space. Let us visualize the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and his darshan. Await eagerly the darshan of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the incarnation of Paramashiva. Let each and every one of your cell vibrate with the Mahavakya. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivoham.
Connecting with the divine with your eyes closed is meditation. Connecting with the divine with your eyes open is darshan. Come, let us all now move from meditation to darshan. Slowly, very slowly, please open your eyes.
என்னப்பனல்லவா என்னப்பனல்லவா எந்தாயுமல்லவா எந்தாயுமல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பனல்லவா எந்தாயுமல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா என்னப்பனல்லவா எந்தாயுமல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளித்தவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலில் நன்மை வென்ற நிலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்ற நிலை நின்றிட சீரான பாவம் வழி நீங்க பெறும் வாழ்வினே கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நிகவா சீரான பாவம் வழி நீங்க பெறும் வாழ்வினே கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நிகவா என்னப்பன் 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 அல்லவா எந்தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா எந்தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலில் நன்மை வென்ற நிலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்ற நிலை நின்றிட சீரான பாவம் வழி நீங்க பெறும் வாழ்வினே கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நிகவா சீரான பாவம் வழி நீங்க பெறும் வாழ்வினே கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நிகவா என்னப்பன் 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 அல்லவா எந்தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா எந்தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலில் நன்மை வென்ற நிலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி என்னப்பனல்லவா என் தாயுமல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா என்னப்பனல்லவா என் தாயுமல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலில் தன்னை வென்ற நிலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்ற நிலை நின்றிட சீடான பாவம் வழி நீங்கி பெறும் வாழ்வினே கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை செய்தவா சீடான பாவம் வழி நீங்கி பெறும் வாழ்வினே கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை செய்தவா என்னப்பன் 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 அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் ஞானம் அளித்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா
சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர சாமி சூதரியே கொடு ஆதரியே சூத்திரம் சாத்தி